Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome once again to your live Investment Dominator Q&A call. And as usual, my name is Warren Davis. We are here on this wonderful Thursday. It is July 9th, 2020, and we're here to get your questions answered. This is also the day we're having our two-day workshop for the Investment Dominator, the Investment Dominator Maximizer Workshop. So we're in the midst of that. Hopefully you can see my screen here with all of the facets of Investment Dominator that Investment Dominator handles for you. Hopefully you can see that screen and you can hear my voice. My indicators show me that you can, but we want to make sure that you can hear me. And of course, if you're not able to hear me, you probably couldn't tell me that since you can't hear me. But hopefully those of you that are out there that can hear and see my screen, everything is working out fine for you. If you're new on our call, let's see, we're going to look at we're going to get your questions answered. Thank you, Jacques. I appreciate that. Send in your questions. And if you do have a question, please type in the word question, or maybe put a question mark, or the letter Q, something that would tell me it's a question, and then type in your question and hit send, and it will get to me. I normally don't see the little hand, so don't worry about raising the hand if you're brand new. I want to say welcome to you here this afternoon, and we're going to get right into it because we've only got a limited amount of time for today, since we are on our two-day workshop and we're on our lunch break right now. So we wanted to make sure that we have the opportunity to address some of the questions that we've had coming up. And I'm going to bring over my Investment Dominator screen. Let me see if there's anything else from a housekeeping standpoint I need to address. So far, just to let you know, we'll be ending here at 12:30. I've got right around 12:03 right now. So if we finish up with some of the questions that we had the other day, Monday's webinar, we had one question. I think this was actually from last week from Michael. Michael was asking, is it possible to verify that a lead list is not a duplicate list? Okay, so I think what Michael may be talking about here is, records that you're going to import into Investment Dominator are going to come in as a prospect status. These are your leads, right? So he says he wants to know, is it possible to verify that a lead list, that you can get your leads from, Agent Pro 247, or you can get it from Rebo Gateway, or you can get it from some other list source. There's a whole bunch of them out there, so that you can get supposedly leads from the county information. And he wants to know, hey, how can I verify that that's not a duplicate list? And unfortunately, Michael, there's not a way to actually verify 100% that it's not a duplicate list. Supposedly with your list source vendors like Agent Pro 247, Rebo Gateway, they have the capability to keep track of the last record that you processed. So let's say you brought in, as you can see here, these are Volusia, the county of Volusia, or you have the county of Lee. So let's say if you were processing Volusia here, supposedly Rebo Gateway or Agent Pro 247 keeps track of your last Volusia record, let's say that you brought in, or that you paid them for. And so when you go back in to get some additional prospect records based on where you left off on your previous import or your previous list that you purchased from them, they have a way, I don't exactly know if they use the APN number or if they use a person's owner's name. I don't know exactly how they do it, how they determine what your last records that you purchased for them were, so they know to start you at the next available record that's not supposed to be a duplicate. So supposedly they have a way, an internal mechanism, and I'm forgetting, Jack has mentioned it a couple times. It's a field that you can check on your Rebo Gateway or Agent Pro 247, request list. There's a field that you check to say basically, don't start me at the beginning of this list, but start me where I left off from my last purchase. And so that's supposed to be a way where they prevent you from having duplicates. But just so you know, because Investment Dominator uses this ID and assigns this unique ID to every single land record that comes into Investment Dominator, your records should not be duplicated in the Investment Dominator, not by importing. When you come up here and you import a list and you choose that list, these records should never be duplicated because Investment Dominator does use this unique identifier to process your records coming in. And if it finds the same APN, the same owner name and owner record, etc., it considers that a duplicate, and especially the data it looks at considers a duplicate, and it would bypass that record. So your records should not be an Investment Dominator duplicate, but we can't guarantee that they can't guarantee that Agent Pro 247 or Rebo Gateway is not going to give you, sell you other duplicate records. As a matter of fact, we have had reports in the past where at least I know from Agent Pro 247, that was one of the complaints, is that they were getting records processed in, subsequent purchases that had the same records that they had in a previous purchase. So, and good to see all you on the call. So we're going to hope that that helps answer your question, Michael. We can't really guarantee it from our end, but supposedly there's something in place for those list vendors to be able to keep the duplicates from coming in. So Ruth had asked a question. So Jack is saying he has some duplicate owners in the Investment Dominator from Agent Pro 247. So that shows you that sometimes, they're not perfect. They're going to probably, Bob was saying Agent Pro allows you to cross-reference previous downloads to avoid duplicate records. Yeah, I think there is a field, and there's a way you can keep from actually bringing in records that you've already processed. Yeah, because you really don't even want to pay for those records, since you have already purchased them before. So Ruth had a question here. Let me go on here before my time runs out. Can you possibly go over the links inside of records to real estate? Okay, for comparables. So Ruth is actually referring to the market research. Okay, can you possibly go over the links inside the records of the real estate for comparables? Under offer request, we're going to offer requests. I believe what Ruth is talking about here. You see, first of all, your records have to be in pending preliminary research status. That means I want an offer on my property. When we go into that record, or even at this level, you have some options at this level. Let me find one where it's coming up correctly. Okay, you see this one? Like this one has the capability for you to go right into your market research. You can either go into it at this level, or when you're editing the record, you can come up here under options, go into market research. So I believe these are the links that Ruth is speaking of, realtor.com, Trulia.com, LandWatch, Zillow. She said, can we go over the links inside of these for comparables? So, you can use any of these links, and what we need here, we want to make sure that's there. Oh yeah, is that there is a property zip code entered. And I'm pointing this out because what people are finding out is they won't have this ability to do market research if you don't have the record in pending preliminary research status, B, if there is no property zip code, and these, doesn't necessarily need to be a property address, but you definitely need to have property city, state, and you want to have a property zip code. And hopefully you also have an acreage. You want to have the size of the property in here. Why? Because when you come up here, let's say I want to go into Trulia or Zillow.com. Let's go into Zillow. That's something we use common. When you go into Zillow, Zillow is going to not only put you in that zip code, you see 33909. This is where Zillow put me in that, but based on the size of the acreage of that parcel, based on that information there, 0.23 acres, which comes out to be around 9,000, 10,000 square feet. Zillow is going to put you, because of the Investment Dominator information, you're going to go into Zillow and it's going to put you not only into that zip code, but it's going to give you the square footage or the size of parcel, so that you are looking at, you see, something comparable. So that's the beautiful thing about Investment Dominator. It allows you to come right in. And so that's Zillow. And we have a bunch of them. You have realtor.com. You can go into realtor.com based on, again, that zip code that's here and the size of the parcel. Look here, 0.23. Size of our parcel is 0.23. So it brings you right into, makes it real easy for you to do your comps. And of course, you have to go up and decide, how far back you're going to go, if you're going to go back a year to look at, but it brings you right into the different, what we call market research sites, right? Realtor.com, Trulia and Zillow, it's like they're about the same, because I think Zillow owns Trulia or Trulia owns Zillow, but they're right at the same. So there's landwatch.com. You can come into Landwatch, and based on that zip code and the size of the property that you're looking for, you can then, I don't usually run comps, quite honestly, from Landwatch. I only use Landwatch to see what kind of activity is in a particular county or a particular area. I don't use it for comps, mainly because Landwatch does not give me sold data. When I run comps, I really want to see land that has sold. That's one reason why I'll come into Zillow and I'll go directly to what has sold, right? I want to see comparables for land that has sold. So, you can use all of these different ones, but just don't overcomplicate it for yourself. We start with Zillow. We might go to Trulia, but pretty much I stay with Zillow. And when I find a couple of comps that are around my area, one of the things I will do, I'll just give you a little tip here. One of the things I'll do, I'm going to look at the address of this particular parcel. I want to make sure this parcel is like, maybe 3 miles away, 4 miles away, but I don't want this parcel to be too far away. And that's the beautiful thing about what Investment Dominator does. It puts you right into that zip code. So hopefully if you find a comparable, you can then come up to Google Maps. I'm just going to show you how I do it. Google Maps.com. You come in here, you hit directions, you put your subject property in this first location, and then you put the comp in the second. And I'm doing that to find out how far is 1004 Northeast 12th tier, how far is that from my actual property, what I call my subject property. So I'll come in here and put, 42 Northeast 22nd place. I'll put that right up here in the first one. And then that's in Cape Coral. And then I'll find my second parcel from my comp, right? And I'm going to put that in my second area here. And I'll select that. And then it gives me, it gives me my map. It says, hey, that's 8.4 miles away. Now, to me, I'm not going to use this comp because it's 8 miles away from my subject property. I want it to be, maybe 2 miles, anywhere from 1 to 2 miles. I like it to be in the same subdivision if I'm looking at subdivisions. But in any case, that's far beyond the question. All right. So that was Ruth's question. We do have, I'll see if I can get your questions coming in here today. All right. Is there a pool? Oh, several unrelated. Okay. Entire list of properties. Check 10. Okay. So, okay, Lori, I see that question. That's a good question. Little involved. I'll see if I can get towards that towards the end of our session here. Good question. I'm gonna get as many of these as I can today. Heinz had a question. Said he had 200 leads, which he imported into Investment Dominator. I think I understand exactly what's going on there, Heinz. So Heinz says he's got 200 leads, which he imported, but only 149 shows up in the land. Okay, department. All right. 200 leads imported, but only 149. Only 149 show up. Okay. Now, that is probably the, that's, how can I explain this quickly here? That's probably the result, Heinz, of where you've had 200 leads that you've inputted. So he has his 200 leads that he came in to Investment Dominator and he imported. So they should have all come in under prospect status, should be 200 of his leads, but he's only showing up 149. Now, based on, your leads came into your Investment Dominator. Let me see if I can find where hopefully, okay. Okay. So usually, when Heinz might have been one that went through the Investment Dominator workshop, you get this kind of an email, right? It tells you what we're going to be doing. And you come in here and it says we're working with, in this case, it's Volusia County. So you want to download your leads, right? This is going to tell you how to, download your leads. So let me see. If that is the information I'm looking for. And no, it's actually not. Okay. Links here. Okay. Basically, the reason why that may not have worked for you like you planned on it, Heinz, is because the if you open the file that you're supposed to download, I'm trying to get a copy of that. I had a copy of that on my computer here. so that I could show you exactly what might be happening. Let me see. Should have had this set up, but I didn't know we were going to get into this question here. I want to show you, if you open that Excel file, that is, let's see, how to send a flyer, how to access today. Wow, I can't find it right now. Coaching students to determine. Okay, well, unfortunately, I can't find it right now, but it's a download that's going to come with your leads. If you open the Investment Dominator, if you open that file, the Excel file that comes with that, what you have to do is you download it first, and then you want to save it. Okay, and the only way to really show you that is to be able to demo that. And let's see, board calls. Okay. Boy, I'm sorry, I just can't find that right now. That's really bumming me out, because I wanted to be able to demonstrate exactly when you get that link, what it looks like for you. Steps possible. Directions ring central. Locate. Okay. Let me look at another area real quick here. Once I find it, it will be very clear to you. And what I'm trying to say is, basically, if you open that if you open that file, instead of saving it, it's going to contaminate, or it's going to reformat your APN number. And when it reformats that APN number, then that's where we run into the, okay, that's where we run into the issue. All right. Download your links. Hopefully. Okay. This is what it looks like. Okay. So this file here, okay, it's going to come in a CSV format. What you want to do here, it says you want to download. All right. So when I say download, now here, it's going to allow me, this is what I was trying to show you. It's going to allow me to either open the file here or save the file. And you want to make sure that you save the file, that you don't proceed with opening the file. And some of you that have Macs, you're on a Mac computer, you were saying that it automatically opens the file for you and it won't allow you to save it, but you need to save it somewhere first. All right. Once you save this file, wherever it ends up being saved in your computer, then you can now go access the file where it's saved, and you come in and you import it. You know, you're going to choose the file from wherever it saved that file, and which I'm not exactly sure where mine ended up saving, but it should for sure be in your downloads. All right, if you're on a computer, choose a file, you should definitely be able to go into your downloads and pull that. You have to go through and search. I mean, I have a lot of files here in my downloads, but you can then go in and find that file, and you can bring it into Investment Dominator and just say upload list. But the point I'm making here is if you open this file instead of downloading it, saving it, that's where it actually ends up messing up this APN file. It reformats your APNs. And so whenever it reformats your APNs, when you upload the list, all of your APNs, all of your records do not come in because you've reformatted that APN, and it just messes it up. Sometimes I don't know if it points out if it's finds duplicates or whatever the issue is, but you want to make sure that you just download it and save it. Do not open it, and that should clear up your issue. I'm hoping, or we found that's what clears up those issues with those leads not being processed. Okay. Rather quick question here, Vahendra. I think Vahendra's in our 2-day workshop here. I think we can get your question, Vahendra, when we get back. But Vahendra was asking if under his profile, basically, I don't know why that continues to process. I'm gonna get rid of that. He's saying under his profile, basically, you want to use VJ as your first name. So if you want to come in here and you want to type in VJ and your last name is D-U-S-A-I, yes, you can do that just fine. And it's going to show up as, instead of Jack, it'll be VJ and then D-W-S-A-I. So within your profile, just make sure you update. And then when you go and you generate your signature here, though, you generate signature, that's where you have to put in VJ and then DWSAI, right? And then of course you select a font, whatever font you like. So you can come back then and you say insert signature, and that's the signature it will bring in. So yes, you can do that just fine. All right, VJ AI for profile. Okay, we did get that question knocked out there. Let's see. Lori says, is there a way to pull up several unrelated properties for remailing letters that have come back? Okay, so if you're talking about letters that have come back, what we're talking about here, let me get rid of this, we're talking about is letters that need to be skip traced, all right? So is there a way to pull up several unrelated properties for remailing letters that have come back to generate new letters? Going through the entire list of properties to check 10 properties can be more time consuming than it should be. Searching for each separately to generate the letters separately is even more time consuming. I agree. But unfortunately, okay, the way this works, Lori, is when you mail out your prospect records and they come back, right? First of all, they're going to be moved to status mailed letter 1. So you've mailed out these letters, and let's just say I have several pages of mailed letter 1. When I get the physical envelope back in my hands, where I realize, okay, Jeffrey Hughes did not get their neutral letter because his address was wrong. What I want to do is I want to go in here and I want to change the status from the mail letter 1, I want to change that to skip trace, right? So that tells me I need to now look up his address. So once you put that in skip trace status, each letter that you have in your hand, all you have to do at this point is come up here and hit the skip trace stage, which is what I'm going to do here. and any records that I put in skip trace status will get displayed. I don't need to search for, each record individually. Basically, as I have mail in my hand that has come back because the address was wrong and has a little yellow sticky on it if I have first class, I look up that record, I immediately put it in skip trace status, save that record, right? Update that record. So then I can just come up here and hit skip trace stage, and here I've got all of the records that are in skip trace stage. And once I go in and update their addresses, when I go in here and edit the record, or you have a VA that does this. If you have a VA, like we have a VA that comes in, does our skip tracing for us, will update the mailing address, update that, and then move that back to prospect status, right? That's what they're going to do. That's our process. But there's no other quicker way I know to do that than what I just described. All right. I hope that helps you out a little bit, Lori. If it's not, we'll I think you're in the 2-day workshop too. We'll get more into your question. So yes, Abi is asking, yeah, if once you update to skip trace status, once you put this in skip trace status, so Abi is asking in skip trace, do you send out a new neutral letter? Yes. Send out a new neutral letter. Yes, you do, because remember, the fact that these are in skip trace status meant that like Andrew and Linda Simpson never got their first neutral letter. So I'm going to change this status now from skip trace. I'm going to change the status back to prospect. Once I change it back to prospect, then these letters now are going to go out, and they should reach the person if you looked up and you have the right address. All right. So Lori's asking how to make sure I got this down. And these, I'm sorry, this is we're kind of right out of time here. Is there a way to pull up several unrelated properties? Several unrelated properties. Okay. Okay, and then a follow-up question to Abi's question was, so in the case, do we send a neutral letter or a blind offer? So when they become prospects again, yeah, when they become prospects again, the question is when they become prospects again, after we've moved them from skip trace status and we move them back to prospect status, you send them a neutral letter or a blind offer? No, you send them a neutral letter again, because remember, they never got the first neutral letter because what? Their address was wrong. You had to skip trace them. You got the correct address for these people now. You put them back in prospect status. So now they're going to come back in again as a prospect. You're going to now mail them out a new neutral letter, or another neutral letter, and it's going to reach them now since you have their updated address. Okay? All right. Okay, people, I'm so appreciate you being on the call today. We are really out of time for this segment. This is a quick one because we're going to go back into the 2-day workshop. And I just want to say you guys inspire me, and I appreciate the guts that you have and the tenacity you're having with all of your businesses. I get inspired each week when I listen to certain ones that are maybe having some challenges, but they're sticking with it. And if you stick with it, keep mailing out your letters, mailing out your offers, you are going to get deals. So want you all to be encouraged. leave you with this thought for the day. This is one I've used before, but it bears repeating. The greatest oak was once a little nut who held its ground. I like that. The greatest oak was once a little nut who held its ground. And that's from an anonymous philosopher. But want you guys to go and be encouraged. Have a good weekend. Have a great remainder of your day. And we'll be back here on Monday, 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific time to get your questions answered. You take great care, everybody, and have a safe weekend out there. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye now.